If you go on the internet, right, detoxing is huge, and everyone wants to drink this, eat that.
The best thing you could do with this is actually flush it down the sink, because cleanses and detoxes don't actually work.
Detoxing is something that's become very popular, largely due to social media, which is where a lot of the population now gets their information.
It seems like every few weeks there's a new social media trend on how to detoxify your body. Maybe you've been tempted by one. Maybe you've tried one. Juice cleanses, detox supplements, teas, saunas, and fasting. They all promise more energy, quick weight loss, and relief from things like brain fog or fatigue. And who doesn't want those things? I mean, right now, I have monosaccharides, dihydrogen monoxides, deoxyribonucleic acids, 1,3,7-trimethylxanthines, phylloquinone, all up in my body. And they're all chemicals, and they're all, well, actually completely essential for life. You know, those are the chemical names for glucose, water, DNA, caffeine, and vitamin K. Okay, strictly speaking, caffeine's not essential for life, but it's pretty important for me personally. The thing is, when we read long, unfamiliar chemical names on household products, personal care items like lotions and makeup, even plastic used in our water bottles, it can be overwhelming and even a little alarming. It's no surprise that many people turn to detoxification in an attempt to try and wrest a little control over what goes in and comes out of their bodies. This push to clear things out and start fresh has even become a popular way of saving people from, well, themselves. A little late night of drinking, or a work trip that turned into a fast food tour, or simply a decadently indulgent vacation, plenty of people are turning to detox trends to find a quick and easy reset button when life gets a little out of hand. But is that what they're really doing? Are we really resetting? Are we really detoxing? Not everyone is convinced detoxing is the answer to these concerns. Steve Lutz, a fitness influencer known as Dad Bod, thinks these cleanses are frankly a bunch of bullshit.
We have all kinds of quacks online toting their magic cures that I wish they were true. More than anything, I wish there was something magic you could take that solved all of the health and nutrition problems that this country is facing, and sadly that's not the case.
While wellness influencers like Mina Adams say detoxes and cleanses are a healthy part of everyday life, although her approach might surprise you.
We all feel like crap, but the way we feel is from years of not taking care of ourselves. And for me, holding the sign, just take better care of yourself. They're like, lady, shut up. What are you talking about? We're trying to drink this and feel better by tomorrow.
And of course, doctors have plenty to say about the evidence behind some of the most viral social media claims around detoxing. David Purow, a gastroenterologist from Huntington, New York, and the vice president for the Department of Medicine Service Line of Northwell Health's Eastern Market, joins us to set the record straight.
My general feeling about most of the things that we see online is that we have to be careful. So detoxing in the medical world usually means when we have someone who has taken an overdose of something, we need to detoxify them. But what it really means in the world now is something very different, whether it's via influencers or throughout various different platforms, ways to detoxify what's coming into our bodies.
Welcome back to Health vs. Hype with the American Medical Association. I'm your host, Trace Dominguez. Today, we're answering questions about detoxes and cleanses. What does it really mean to detox? What are we all detoxing from? Does detoxing actually remove anything from our bodies? Join me as we find out whether detoxing is all health or just hype. People have been relying on different kinds of detoxes to improve their health for centuries. In fact, its modern popularity goes all the way back to the 1920s and 30s. Back then, detox diets were promoted as a cure for everything from migraines to tuberculosis to cancer. The widespread popularity of detoxing rebounded in the early 2000s as trendy cleanses and diets were featured in hit books and endorsed by celebrities. With such a long history in our culture, it's no wonder our current social media environment has poured fuel on the detox fire. These days, it feels like there's a detox diet for every bad feeling in a person's life, from being hungover to feeling bloated to feeling like your metabolism just needs a little fix. Of course, not every social media influencer has bought into this hype. Steve Lutz, the Dad Bod fitness coach, believes these detox trends only serve to confuse and distract people from much healthier habits.
I think people like the idea of a quick fix. And I think there are some bad apples out there who want to take advantage of people who, that they don't have time to study nutrition all day. They get a lot of their nutritional information from social media. Maybe they heard that their favorite celebrity took a cleanse and that's responsible for making them look as good as they did. And as long as there are, I hate to say it, but gullible or misinformed people, there's always going to be people who take advantage of that and have something to sell. They want to tap into that bank account and they want to take advantage of people who think that if I just do this detox diet for 3 days, it's going to give me a kickstart. It's going to cleanse me of all of the toxins that have accumulated in my body.
Steve is right. Detoxing products are big business. Last year, the worldwide market for the detoxification industry was over $71 billion. Considering the average detox or cleanse product costs around $30, that would be like 2.5 billion detox products sold just last year. And it's only going to grow from there. Some estimates show this market reaching more than $120 billion annually by 2034. In other words, the detox market could rival the GDP of Venezuela. That's a lot of money spent on detox pills and diet plans. Like Steve said, most people don't want to spend the time or the energy to get better slowly. Instead, the detox industry promises getting anything, done quickly. Perhaps nobody knows this better than Mina Adams, a wellness influencer who tries to convince her followers to slow down and take their time getting healthy. Here's Mina's take on detoxes and cleanses.
Most people try to do the quick fix. Right? If you drink this, it will solve all your problems. And as a mother of 5, without money to waste, like I don't have money or time to waste. I'm just trying to get people to go through the process that I went through. And that's understanding, oh, wow, if I take care of my body will take care of me. It's very simple. We want big drama. We want to buy this and buy that and buy this, but don't buy anything yet until you learn how to show up for yourself, until you learn how to be very intentional about what you feed it, about what you use, and you're focusing more on how your body feels and functions versus how it looks.
The detox market thrives on this idea of a quick fix. It translates a complicated goal, like being healthy, into a solution that feels fast and simple. It tells us that we don't need all this time to get healthy. We just need to take this pill or drink this tea, and then voila, the nebulous toxin that was holding you back is gone. It's cleansed. That's the essence of quick fix culture. Of course, as we've learned through our previous episodes, staying healthy is complex and takes time. There are few, if any, quick fixes when it comes to being healthy. Mina says these products, the liver detoxes, the gut cleanses, and full body reset drinks, are almost too much to keep up with.
I would love to start doing, like split screen videos where I show someone marketing a detox method or product and I say, well, actually, it doesn't quite work like that. I scroll on only because I realize that people hear what they want to hear and people relate to what they feel is the right thing. And so if I tell you exactly what you want to hear, then you're going to share that video, save it, and you're going to do exactly what that person said do. So if that person is telling you all you have to do is do this one thing, you like that message and you're going to listen to that message and you're going to apply it and you're going to promote it. But people who've been following me for a long time know that I mostly preach lifestyle. Let's change the way we think about the things that we are putting on our bodies. Let's question it. Let's look it up ourselves. Let's make whatever changes are possible in this season of life. You don't have to change everything. Just change one thing. I should probably start, being a little bit more disruptive on the internet. I think that I'm not willing to do what it takes to continue to be relevant on social media. On social media, you have 3 seconds to get someone's attention, and then you have an additional 5 to convince them to listen, right? And mostly, no one's going to make it to the end of the video. I have a very balanced approach to life. It's not what we do every now and again that makes us feel the way we do. It's what we are doing regularly, because those same people who will take a drastic detox approach won't focus on what they're doing every day. And that's the problem.
Yeah, they'll jump into something and take a cleanse for a week.
Yeah. And then go right back to eating the junk. And what you did was you wasted time and money. They're like, wait a minute. I thought we were on celery juice and beet juice. That was amazing. And then you come right back in with the junk. And then they're just like, oh, I guess we have to work again.
What do you think people are looking for when they turn to a detox? Physical results, something else?
I think that most people are looking for the physical. They're looking to change the way that they look. Like they're convinced that the reason why they have stubborn belly fat is because they need to detox. They're thinking that their skin looks the way it is. It's spotty. It's not smooth. Their pores are huge just because they need to detox. So I think the original reason why people come to detoxing is because of the way that they look. I think once you've kind of been in the wellness field a little longer, you realize it's more about how you feel. You start to recognize, okay, I've been eating like crap and now my body feels like this. It's time for me to take a break and change some things up. I think we all feel like crap and we want to feel better fast. And that's where the word comes detox. You need to detox.
Our detox doubter, Steve, has a similar take on why detoxing is so enticing to so many people.
I think a lot of people will come off of a bad weekend where maybe they indulged a little bit. Maybe they drank a little bit too much. Then Monday comes around and they're like, all right, this is it. I feel terrible right now. I feel like crap. I had too much pizza and pasta and I drank a case of beer. I know I need to lose the weight and I'm going to kick it off the right way. I'm going to get rid of all these toxins. I'm going to flush out everything I did on the weekend and then that's going to set me up for long-term success. I just need to cancel out this weekend. Then that's when I'm going to start eating healthy. I'm going to start going to the gym 6 days a week and I'm going to do a ton of cardio to sweat out all of the badness. So this is going to be the big kickoff that's going to work. And this time I'm going to stick to it.
At this point, you may be like, Trace, are any of these detox trends worth following? We're going to get to the science in a minute. But first, Mina has one last thought about how she thinks about detoxing and her own health.
Before I go asking, how can I detox? I have to look inward. Okay, what am I doing? Can I identify at least 3 ways that my body detoxes and ways to support that? So I look inward. I tell myself, in order to stay on the internet, I have to stay off the internet. And it's not really, it's fully social media. Because if you go on social media, you're like, oh my God, this man told me that I can rid my body of all mucus in 24 hours with this supplement that I have to pay just $99 for. It's just like, and I promise if my message was more dramatic like that, I would have millions of followers and make millions of dollars. But I cannot sleep at night, trying to sell someone something that their body already does naturally.
All right, I think it's time to bring in our medical expert. Dr. David Purow has been a gastroenterologist for more than 20 years, and this is what he has to say about the view of detoxing from the medical side of things.
So detoxify from our perspective is if someone shows up in the emergency room with an overdose of something, then we may need to detoxify what they've done. That is not how it's typically spoken of online and in the general world. It's basically, in that sense, the people trying to detoxify are trying to remove some substances that are getting into our bodies.
Yeah. So when people talk about toxins that they're trying to detox, what are they usually referring to?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different substances with a lot of different fancy letters. So there's the PFAs, the polyfluoroalkyl substances. There's the BPAs, the bisphenol A's. And those are basically different substances that are present in things that we can come in contact with. So whether it's, water bottles, people are talking about microplastics, which is going to have both some of the PFAs and the BPAs in addition to, the nonstick coating on pans that we use.
What is it about detoxing that you think has made it become so popular?
Yeah, I think there's a few different things that contribute to it. I think it's a lot of people fear a lack of control. And as a result of this is the way of them trying to make sense of the world and try to take control over their own bodies. So by actively doing something, I'm going to detoxify things, therefore I'm going to feel better, I think is absolutely one of the reasons that detoxifying has become so popular. In addition, I think that there's a significant placebo effect. So just by buying into whatever they're trying, they're going to see some improvements. And in general, also, I think as the world has evolved, there's a lot more environmental anxiety. So I think that, the generations now feel very different than we did in the past. When I grew up, I would have, during high school, I would have, Twinkies and Hawaiian Punch for breakfast just because I could. Now my son would be horrified, as much as he loved Twinkies, to consider that because of, the dyes. So I think there's more of a general awareness of what's out there and the effects that it may have on our body. And when you start looking, and again, there are going to be things that we find in a lot of household, regular household use appliances. Deodorant may have something in there. So I've heard that some younger people don't want to use certain deodorants because they have certain substances in there that could be harmful to someone. They could be harmful to someone in much higher concentrations than their bodies are ever going to see. The other thing I think is that we get a lot of our information now from social media. I think there's some general medical distrust that was really probably exacerbated by everything that happened with COVID in our country. So as a result, people are trying to seek information elsewhere. And it's not just the younger generation. I think we absolutely have people who are getting information online, whether it's from Google searchers or using, AI now, whether it's, ChatGPT or Gemini, in addition to, TikTok and Instagram. That's where we consume a lot of our information. And when we hear and see things there's a tendency to say, well, maybe there is something to that. So I think the people that have taken advantage of the detoxifying movement are really feeding on the fact that there's a lot of anxiety in the world, and so we are taking control of our own bodies to maybe help make some sense and make us feel better.
Yeah. What are some of the medical issues when people come in that they're trying to solve with a detox regimen?
So, fatigue is a major one. Brain fog. As a gastroenterologist, we're seeing a lot of bloating. Bloating is a really common symptom, and probably the most frustrating symptom for gastroenterologists and other physicians to treat. There are so many various things that can lead to it, and there's actually no prescription medication to treat it. A lot of bloating is, the term we like to use in medicine is multifactorial. A lot of different things can lead to it. There can be disruptions of the microbiome, which is, the bacteria and organisms that live with us that help with our own digestion. Diet can absolutely play a role. So, bloating is definitely a symptom people trying to get a handle on. But I'd say more commonly, it's going to be fatigue and brain fog. And there's a lot of different other reasons for that other than really needing to detoxify.
Okay, Dr. Purow, I want to play you a few clips from one of the social media influencers I spoke with. I want to get your gut reaction. Mina Adams had an interesting way of describing how she thinks about detoxing. Here's the clip.
You have your kidneys, you have your liver, you have your skin, you have your lungs. And so when people say, well, how do you detox? Well, I'm like, well, technically taking, a few deep breaths is helping to support a detox pathway, because your lungs, how often do we intentionally do that? So if you go to the bathroom, that is your body releasing waste through your urine, through your bowels, right? When you sweat, that is your body releasing waste through your skin. But how often are we being intentional about sweating, right? I mean, your body is literally made to, work efficiently, but our diets, our lack of movement, the loads and loads of skincare and hair care products that we load on our bodies, it puts a heavy load on our detox pathways, and we need to try our best to release that as much as possible. I'm just asking myself, how am I supporting my detox pathways today? What does my lungs need? What do they love? Oh, they love a good deep breath. Okay, let me do that. Water helps me flush out toxins through my urine. It's like, I'm just trying to support my detox pathways. So sweating is a way that your body releases waste. If you go into a sauna and you sweat for 40 minutes, congratulations. That is a quote unquote detox. You are supporting one of your detox pathways. If you haven't had a bowel movement in days and you drink celery juice and it forces everything out of you, then congratulations, you have just detoxed. I think anything that supports a detox pathway is a detox.
So she's talking about detox pathways in these are ways to help detoxify your body or work with your body to do it. So what's your reaction to what Mina shared there?
Yeah, I think she's absolutely right. And I think what she's trying to do is augment or be more focused on the natural ways to detoxify things. So any benefit that anyone sees from their other detox regimens are because they're basically piggybacking on what the body's doing. What Mina's talking about is focusing on what those are and trying to augment them as best we can without necessarily doing any specific detoxification. So we're focusing more on sleeping, if we're focusing more on trying to sweat, if we're focusing on being hydrating or eating well, all these things are going to help augment the kidney, the liver, the lungs, the brain, and the skin, which are our natural ways of detoxifying things. So, the detoxification pathway, she's just talking about what our body's already doing and how to maximize that.
Is there a term in medicine or like clinical sense for a detox pathway?
Nope, other than elimination, maybe.
Yeah, because this is a term I hadn't heard before either, but it's a term that she uses pretty regularly in her content as like thinking about all these different ways that your body is going to detoxify.
I think it's smart, and again, because of how detoxifying has become so popular, what she's basically doing is saying a lot of stuff similar to what I'm saying, but saying it in a different way. Mm-hmm. And I think by using the detox and the pathway, it's going to resonate with some people in the public, and then basically have them understand a little bit more about how their bodies work, and therefore they might be more likely to do that and less likely to do some of the potentially harmful detox regimens that we hear and see about.
Yeah. Sometimes it seems, and this is sort of an aside, but sometimes it seems it's like when we say things like, oh, you just need to get good sleep, you need to drink your water, you need to, take care of your body, have a good diet, regular exercise. People just kind of brush it off and say, but there's got to be a juice I can drink. There's got to be a pill I can take that's going to make all this easier.
Yep. And that's kind of, I think, the quick fix control that we were kind of talking about it, earlier. They're saying, well, that's a lifestyle change. I just want a quick fix. I feel like crap. I'm exhausted all the time and I have brain fog. What can I do to fix that? And certainly, in this day and age, you can go online and find 12 different ways to do that very, very quickly. And it's just not needed.
Got it.
Nor is it going to be effective.
Let's do another clip from Mina. This one is a little bit about what we're talking about here, which is detoxing as kind of a quick fix.
Everyone wants to feel better quickly, and they want to know what is that one thing that can help me feel better fast. And so that's the question I get all the time, and I have to leave them a nice little voice note and say, first of all, let's dial it back and let's look at what you are doing. What are you doing daily? And then once I point to, okay, well, it's your lack of movement. It's the food that you're eating. It's the fact that you're either not eating or you're eating fast. You're not supporting your body. And of course, there's crickets after that, because I'm not pointing to the one thing. I'm requiring you to support your body in a way that it feels supported.
Yeah, so I agree. We do get asked for how do I fix this or how can I fix this quickly? And there's not one thing. I think it's a combination of a lot of things that, Mina seems to promote and that, we've discussed earlier. Sometimes we may need to try various things. It's not easy to sleep more. It's not easy necessarily to exercise more or change our diet or our habits. So I think it's really an investment in doing so. And some people don't want to make the investment that requires. And that's one of the reasons that some of these detoxifying, methods have become so popular.
Yeah. They either don't want to, they're not able to, they don't see a way to do it within the lifestyle they have.
I mean, and then there's time, yep. Is there enough time to exercise? I'm too busy to do it. So let me just do something that's quick.
Yeah. We've got one more clip from Mina. This one's about toxins and for her, what they mean.
So for me, detoxing is just to cleanse, just to get rid of. Probably the most popular, well-known toxin that people are exposed to daily is heavy metals. Heavy metals are in pretty much everything.
So yeah, I think we certainly hear about heavy metals. While they are, somewhat omnipresent, the concentrations or amount that our bodies are exposed to are very limited, and the body is very good at getting rid of heavy metals. So, certainly heavy metals, I think, are something we hear about. And again, we're hearing more and more about the BPAs as well. So those are the toxins I think people are most concerned when they come to me about. I'm actually probably hearing a little bit less about heavy metals and then more about some of the other ones because of the fact that we, keep hearing about microplastics. That's what we're hearing about, the microplastics everywhere. And those are the ones that are, in the water bottles, in the nonstick pans that have gotten, a lot of press over the last year or two.
We've hinted at this throughout the episode, but I think this is a good place to really break down our body's role in detoxing some of these things we've been talking about. The heavy metals, microplastics, forever chemicals like BPA or bisphenol A. Mina says it took her time to realize that our bodies are capable of removing these unwanted toxins through natural processes. Here's the advice that she would give her younger self based on what she knows now.
I would tell myself to figure out what my body needs, And am I giving my body what it needs daily? I would go so simple. How does my body detox? Would I be on earth without a detoxing process already built in? Right? It's like, I don't think I would be here if my body didn't detox on its own. If everyone needed a manual detox button that they had to go and get, they had to go and do, we would be in a world of trouble. So how does my body detox on its own? And am I helping or hurting that process? That's where I would start. And I would just stay focused there. I wouldn't need big, drastic detox methods if I supported my body regularly.
And Dr. Purow confirms this for us.
Different objects that we come in contact with are going to have small amounts of what some people are going to label are toxins.
Yeah. And are those actually toxins? Would medicine say that this is a toxin?
There are going to be studies that for all of those that show that very, very high concentrations of those might have the potential to have deleterious effects on the human body. However, the amounts that are really present in most people, or the amount that we're able to get from water bottles, etc., are really very, very small because of the natural ways of defense that we have to detoxify things that are coming into our body.
Yeah. And just for maybe people don't know, what are those ways that our body is detoxing itself?
Yeah, so the main ways are going to be through the liver, the kidney, the skin, the lungs, and even newer research actually shows the brain can basically have mechanisms via which to get rid of what we'll call metabolic waste, where essentially the brain can flush out some byproducts of reactions that can be considered metabolic waste. And interestingly, this is most active when we sleep.
Cool. What do you think about this detoxing trend generally that you see online?
So what I would say is that my general feeling about most of the things that we see online is that we have to be careful. A lot of the things that are being promoted online or via social media, there are no studies that demonstrate their efficacy. Now, there's still a chance that those are effective and work, but the concern is that without those being well regulated or well studied, is there any potential to doing harm by doing some of these ingesting certain substances or using various methods to try to detoxify or to gain other benefits?
Yeah. Like some of these detox programs circulating claim to improve your energy, make your skin better, make your digestion better. Is that kind of stuff exaggerated? What does the evidence say?
So really what's interesting is that the various ways that are being promoted to detoxify probably do actually help our bodies, but they're not doing it via directly detoxifying things as they are promoted to do. The main manner in which they're effective is they probably support our natural methods for detoxifying things. So, for example, I mentioned sleep earlier. So if someone isn't sleeping well, they may get brain fog. If they just sleep better, they might have less brain fog, as opposed to ingesting something that's going to get rid of their brain fog. And some of the other things are going to be whether it's, improving hydration, eating better and making healthier choices, in addition to exercising. All of those things are going to be helping to promote our natural barriers and our natural ability to detoxify things. So some of the detoxifying regimens are helpful, but not for the reasons that they're proclaiming. They more augment our own natural ways to detoxify things than really ever actually detoxifying substances themselves as they proclaim to do.
Yeah. So you're saying potentially that people could feel better on a detox for reasons unrelated to removing toxins.
Absolutely correct. And it's smart of the people that are promoting them because they can be effective. People absolutely could feel better. The concern, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, is that people are ingesting certain things that have the potential to cause harm. And that is something that we'll see when people are trying to, whether it's detoxify or do these cleanses where they're eliminating parasites, et cetera, that likely don't need to happen at all.
Ah, yes, the parasite cleanse. Let's just touch on this for a minute. If you're not familiar with these social media promoted parasite cleanses, they're a kind of detox that's meant to rid your body of parasites. Little organisms that survive by making themselves at home in your gut. Online influencers promote commercial products and homemade detox concoctions with things like wormwood, black walnut, clove, apple cider vinegar. Medical experts warn there is little to no scientific evidence that these general over-the-counter cleanses or home remedies are effective or even necessary at all. It's true that some parasites can get into your gut, like Giardia or tapeworms. That's rare, and it would require you to go see a doctor for treatment. Detox products are classified as supplements typically, which are not approved by the FDA or often studied in clinical trials. And they have even been known to cause side effects like diarrhea or dehydration. Dr. Purow explains the risk of trying any detox.
Yeah, so some of the things that are potentially concerning are dehydration would be one. An additional one would be to cause other issues with nutritional deficiencies. So these are some of the things that might be concerned about and are they ingesting higher levels of other things that actually could become toxic in and of themselves? So those are the things that I would be most concerned about, would be dehydration, detoxifying things, and then other nutritional deficiencies.
Are there people that should just avoid these trends altogether, or these detoxification programs or whatever they're called?
Yeah, I would say anything with any significant chronic medical illness should absolutely avoid them. And then because pregnancy has a lot of changes to the body, it's something that I would discourage in someone that's pregnant because of the potential that if there is someone that gets a little dehydrated while they're pregnant, there are ramifications. So I would say, again, pregnancy, people with other chronic medical issues. And I think as people age, in addition, their bodies may not handle certain things as well as they would when they were a little bit younger.
A lot of the messaging around these detoxes focuses on, quote unquote, resetting the body.
Yeah.
Does that concept exist in the world of medical science?
No, it doesn't. As a gastroenterologist, a lot of people say, I'm going to go do a cleanse. And there was some radio commercials saying that, there's stool content stuck in our intestines like spackle and paste. And if we don't get rid of them, they're going to be stuck in there forever. Our bodies are pretty darn effective at getting rid of that stuff. And this is someone who spends, several days a week, literally inside people's intestines with a scope. There's not spackle and paste in there regardless of what we hear online.
When a patient comes to you and they said, I would like to do a cleanse, I'd like to do a detox, how would you guide that conversation?
Yeah, so what I think is really important, I trained in traditional Western medicine. I'm not arrogant enough to think that I know everything or that we in Western medicine know everything. There's a lot to be said for Eastern medicine, so a lot of these herbal remedies that have been used for hundreds, thousands of years. In fact, there are some larger major health systems that partner with Eastern medicine, and you can get some of these herbal remedies in a more standardized, regulated way. So I'm open to considering, other treatments alternatively. So, if I roll my eyes when someone says this is something, regardless of whether I think about it, I've lost that person as a patient. And that's not someone who's going to, see me as an authority or see me as someone they really want to work with. I think the doctor-patient relationship has really evolved over the years. So for me, regardless of whether I think it's something that makes sense or not, I think it's always important to engage the patient and say, look, let's talk through this. What are we trying to accomplish? What's the goal for which we're trying to accomplish here, and what's the problem for which we're trying to solve? And then when they, kind of meet them halfway and say, okay, well, let's talk through that a little bit. Why did you find this one? And what I'll say is, look, I don't know whether it's going to work or not. So let's talk through it and say, look, let me know what you want to do, and let me do my own independent research, and I'll let you know whether I think it's something that makes sense or not. If it's, not something they think that can lead to dehydration, nutritional deficiencies, or other potential bad outcomes of doing it, then it's something I would say, maybe we consider. But if it's very high concentrations of certain substance or whatever it is that has the potential to cause harm to the body, and say, look, I'm a little nervous about it. And when I have that conversation with patients, meeting them one-on-one, I'm not belittling anything that they're considering, then they'll say, all right, you know what? I think that makes sense.
What are the warning signs that a detox regimen is going to be harmful?
Right. So, if you start to feel worse during a detox, then something's probably wrong. There are some people that say you should feel worse. No, you shouldn't really feel worse when you're doing a detox. That might be an indicator that something's wrong. So again, whether they're saying, and what do I mean by feeling differently? If you see increased fatigue, then you may not be getting some nutrients that you need. If you're feeling more dehydrated or more tired, then you're probably doing something to your body that you're not getting enough rest or not getting enough fluids.
Okay, so we have some common online claims that we want to address and just have you do like a true or false kind of situation.
Okay. Do I need to give you either a true or false, or can I waffle?
You could waffle if you want, if it makes sense to. I just might ask you to explain why you're waffling.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I waffle, I'll explain. I think that's fair. Okay.
Detoxing helps your body, quote, flush out toxins.
So this is on which I'm going to waffle because it's neither true nor false. It's both true and false, meaning that it's not truly detoxifying itself, but does augment our natural ability to detoxify substances.
Right. True or false, juice cleanses give your digestive system a beneficial reset.
I'm going to go with false on this one.
Detox teas and supplements actually remove harmful substances from your body.
Wholeheartedly, emphatically false. In fact, could be harmful.
Ooh, we're coming back around from false.
Let's go.
Yeah. Feeling better during a detox means that it's working.
False.
And feeling worse during a detox means it's working.
False.
So you don't feel better or worse.
So again, I think maybe you can waffle on the first one because, again, some people will feel better during certain detoxes, but it's not that they're truly detoxifying. So people might feel better, but it's not because of the detox. It's that they're taking other steps, meaning exercises, sleeping, maintaining hydration, etc., which will all help augment our natural responses to detoxify.
Yeah. True or false, most people need to do a detox to stay healthy.
Completely false.
True or false, eliminating toxins will alleviate fatigue and brain fog.
False.
True or false, supporting detoxification reduces inflammation and can lead to clearer, more radiant skin.
I mean, by support, I'm going to waffle on that one and say true or false, and say that if we augment our natural body's response to getting rid of toxins, then that could help, but not from the way of thinking that truly detoxifying is going to help our skin.
Yeah. Okay, last one. True or false, toxins are often stored in fat, and reducing them may assist in releasing excess fat and reducing bloating.
This one is both true and false because it's a multi-part question. So toxins can be stored in fat. However, reducing them is not going to help us lose the fat or weight.
Yeah. So when you hear influencers talking about detoxing online, what do you think that they're getting right, and what do you think that they might be misunderstanding or misrepresenting?
So what I would say they're misrepresenting is that what they're doing is going to be directly detoxifying thing. It's not like they're going to be doing this and it's going to be doing anything to specifically remove the toxins. What they're getting right is they're piggybacking on some of the stuff that Mina was saying, in that by doing this, they're going to naturally be augmenting some version or multiple versions of our bodies to detoxify, whether they're going to be helping our liver and kidneys or our brains or our lungs or skin. A lot of the detoxifying regimens have something to do to help one of those natural ways to do it. So that's what they're getting right. If they're helping people focus on hydration, sleep, exercise, those things are beneficial. What they're misrepresenting is that any of the regimens they're doing are really needed to directly to detoxify anything at all.
Yeah, I just had this image of somebody who's like, I'm going to sell you this bottle of amazing car wash fluid. And what you do is right before you go in the car wash, just spray a little bit on your car. It'll come out perfect.
That's a very, very, very good analogy. Yes.
You can keep that.
No, I may use that, Trace, man. Dude, that's good.
Okay, so I have one more thing for you, and that's how concerned should the average person be about toxins in our body?
Minimally so, because as I said, our bodies have a lot of natural ways to help. Someone that's not necessarily taking good care of themselves, maybe it's slightly increased risk, but even then, I think the chance of having anything significant happen as a result of the toxins are very, very limited and minimal. We have enough to worry about in our crazy world without over-worrying about what we're doing to our bodies or what we're being exposed to is going to hurt us. Not to say that we shouldn't try all to eat well, sleep well, exercise, but I don't feel that people need to be concerned that we're living in a world of toxins that are all out to get us and they give us cancer and put us into an early demise.
Detoxes and cleanses are often marketed as quick fixes for better health. But the reality is that most fall somewhere between unnecessary and, in some cases, potentially harmful. While it is true that our bodies are exposed to various chemicals and toxins every day, we already have built-in systems like the liver and kidneys that evolved specifically to remove toxins from our bodies. And they do this process extremely effectively. I mean, if they didn't, we'd never have made it far enough to invent podcasts, and we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. For most people, supporting your natural systems through consistent, basic, healthy habits is far more beneficial than relying on trendy detox products. Either way, always check with your physician first before trying a detox or a cleanse. In the end, you're probably just not as toxic as you might feel sometimes. Please let us know what you think in the comments. We're curious to hear what you have to share. Thanks again to Dr. David Purow for breaking down the science behind detoxes and cleanses, and thanks again to Mina Adams and Steve Lutzk for sharing their stories and experiences with us. We are on a roll. We unraveled yet another popular health trend. I think this is great, but of course there is still more to come in the next episode. We're going to stick to the gut check and answer your questions about intermittent fasting and all the social media claims about it too. We'll see you then. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe or follow button and join us next time on Health vs. Hype with the American Medical Association. For more information on all the topics we're covering, visit amahealthversushype.org. That's amahealthvshype.org. Health vs. Hype is a production of Ruby Studio from iHeartMedia and the American Medical Association. I'm Trace Dominguez. Our producers are Matt Stillo and Pamela Lawrence. Michael DePoe Wilson is our writer. The show is engineered and features original music by Matthew Ernest Filler. Health vs. Hype is intended for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition.